Happy Wednesday, everyone. We got a nice little gasser for you guys. It's gonna be relatively quick, but I know it's gonna seem not so quick right off the hop, but it is gonna be a pretty fast little work set. So to get us there, what we have is a nice little warm up, plank to down dog, 3 to 5 reps, forearm plank for 20 seconds, plank lean for 2 to bear squat, or down dog, depending what you're more comfortable with or how your shoulders are feeling today. You'll do that for 3 to 5 reps into a prone shoulder raise of 6 to 10 alternating reps. 2 rounds, taking that down. They're going to move into the bottom piece here with the dumbbell sumo deadlift of 3, into a dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull of 3, single leg bridge march for 20 seconds, working on some stability through the midsection, working on that good pressure down with the feet to wake up the hamstrings and the glutes. From there, we have a dumbbell pause dip, 3 seconds, into a dumbbell push press for 3. You're going to work on just really waking up your position and really kind of just practicing some skills here, getting ready for what's to come. And then at the last rep, you're going to hold for 10 to 20 seconds for 2 rounds. So there's a couple different ways you can play with this. If you'd like to, you can do the dumbbell sumo deadlift and dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull all on one side, then repeat, then do the bridge, and then you can do the same thing with the dumbbell overhead, work with the push press. You can do that whole sequence on one side, switch other side, then reset and do it again. So it depends on what you have access to, how you want to take it down. You can play around with that, or just do sumo deadlifts per side, sumo deadlift high pull per side, and work your way down the list. So be creative, have some fun with it, and see where it takes you. Once we're done warming up and priming, we want to make sure our heart rate's ready to go, so we want to throw down a little practice round if you like. Get that heart rate going, get yourself ready to go, make sure you're happy with this work set, and then we're going to tackle our workout. Our workout is 22, 16, 8. All right, so 22, 16, 8, nice descending rep scheme. You will start off with 22 sumo deadlift high pulls on one side, and then you'll do 22 on the other side. Then you will do 22 push press total count. Okay. 16 sumo deadlift high pulls per side, and then 16 total reps. So you're splitting the workout between 2 sides. All right, if you're using a single dumbbell for a total rep count on that push press, but you're doing per side work or double the number, we'll say, for the sumo deadlift high pulls. So you're going to get a few more pulls and half the reps on the presses. And then you'll finish off with 8 per side sumo deadlift high pull and 8 total count reps push press. So if you're using two dumbbells on the push press, you'll just rock that work set 8 as is, just that number. If you're using a single, you'll do a total count of 8 or whatever the number happens to be. Okay? And then you're done. 22, 16, 8. Rock that, hit it hard. It's going to get those hips a little fried out for the push press, but it's going to be a nice, smooth work set. Couple things with this. We want to keep the sumo deadlift high pull relatively light so we can keep it flowy and steady. I'd rather see you be able to pull those 22 on one side right into the other side, opposed to having to rest too much midway through those sets. The push press, you can experiment with loading, make it challenging. You do not have to keep this light. You can keep it a little on the heavier side if you like, but we still want to make sure that we can take down those push press in no more, I'd say, than 2 to 3 sets. So if you do have to break them down, but we want to keep them nice and steady as well. Let's get you guys prepped and ready, and we'll warm you up and have some fun today. All right, you guys, let's warm you up. Let's get those feet under the hips. We'll take the arms big and tall, just waking things up. Gonna give ourselves a little shrug. We'll come down with the shoulders, scratch your back, and reach to the elbow. We'll come back up, big stretch. Shrug, pull those shoulders back down, scratch your back with the other side, big reach to the elbow. Good, big stretch up. Then we're gonna forward fold, touching those toes, walk up those shins. We'll come down, framing the foot. We'll step back into your lizard. We're gonna plant that hand on the front leg, locking those legs in place. Let's turn the torso to the outside hand. We'll come back to center, lower the back knee. We're gonna press the hip down gently. Back to center, press the hip, come back to center, and press the hip, back to center. Let's straighten out the leg, turn the torso, come back through, plant the hand, we'll step back
into our down dog and just wake those hips up a little bit. So set the shoulders, walk the heels, just checking in on after yesterday's adventure, the lunges, the running perhaps. Just wake up your feet. Just make sure everything feels pretty good. Good, come back into your plank, step the other foot up. Hand on that front leg, set those legs, let's turn the torso. Come back to center, lower the knee. Let's press the hip. Come back to center, press the hip. Back to center, and press the hip. And back to center. We'll plant the hand, straighten the leg, step her back into that down dog. Reaching those hips, walk the heels. Nice and gentle, nice and easy. Just wake that body up a little bit. Good, come back into our plank. Tiptoe those feet up. Roll yourself up, big stretch. Clasp your fingers and press and reach. Press and reach. Good, come down with those hands. Oh, yeah. Let's get you guys fired up. All right, if you need to, pause that video. Give yourself a little extra body positioning, a little bit extra warm up if you like, some cat-cows, some more hip stuff. Take that down. Come back to me. We're gonna talk about our first phase. Just gonna spend a lot of time working on those lovely shoulders and cores. We're gonna kickstart off our day today with a little plank to down dog just to wake up that upper back and body a little bit. So let's get our hands into our plank position. Pulling those ribs in, pressing those shoulders to the sky. Establish that good plank in that shoulder position. And then let's pull those hips back nice and high. Soft knees and ankles so we can really focus on maintaining a good back position and good angle in the hip. We'll come back into that plank as we push through those shoulders, resetting the shoulder, and then pull back and up into that down dog. Armpits pointing towards those toes. Good open upper back. And then we pull back into that plank as we push through the shoulders. So again, with that positioning, we want to focus on open upper back, not congested shoulders, upper back. Really pulling that shoulder around, feeling those lats kick on as we maintain that nice smooth transition into that down dog and then finding again on the plank. From there, we're going to move into a forearm plank. Just a nice steady forearm plank just to work on getting the core heated up. So the elbows are going to come under the shoulders. We're going to push through those arms and forearms. Then we're going to step our feet back into our forearm plank. So pushing the shoulders, pulling the ribs in, feeling that good positioning, holding that spot. And if you need to, or if you'd like to build that time under tension, you can start in your toes and then lower to your knees, just casually, pulling those ribs in, pushing through those shoulders. Now, if you'd like to stay here or start here, that's fine, but we want to make sure that we establish that good plank first on our toes. You don't have to hold for any lot of time, but you can just find your knee position right after that. But what that starting in our toe position is going to help do is it's going to help establish that engagement, that nice strong shoulder position, and then drop the knees down once we've already set that position. Kind of like what we do with our push-ups. We're going to do the knee push-up. We always initiate and start through the toes to find our proper positioning through the plank. So take your time with that. We have 20 seconds. Like I said, you want to start with the toes and then hold for as long as you can, then lower to your knees. Great way to build that capacity. If you want to start the toe to set position, drop your knees right away. Again, great way to build capacity and engagement through the core because you don't really get a lot of reprieve from going to your knees in that forearm plank. It just gives you a really good, nice chance to focus on taking some stress off the shoulder. Our next movement is our plank lean for 2 to bear squat or down dog again. So I'll put that option out there for you guys. If you're more comfortable going into the down dog, play with that. But with our plank lean to bear squat, we're going to get our hands under our shoulders. We're in that nice starting plank. We're going to take our feet out to our kind of hip to squat stance. We pull our ribs in, push our shoulders up, and I'm going to lean to the left. So establishing that nice shift of weight back and forth. And then once I get back to center, I'm going to pull my hips back, pushing those arms into the floor, and then coming back into my plank. Finding finding that shoulder position, shifting from side to side, coming back to center, and then pulling back into that bear squat or down dog. So very, very important, especially if you're doing the bear squat, that we set those shoulders and make sure they're active before we pull our hips down. So the difference there between the bear and the down dog we're going up with the hips, bear squat we're going low. So we're trying to shoot our hips between our ankles and really activating those shoulders in the same way we do in our down dog, but we really have to press into the floor to make sure those arms stay stable and hold our positioning well. Now, our last exercise, we get to come down to the floor and really work on that shoulder mobility. So what we're gonna do is bring our toes together, press them into the ground, squeeze our glutes and pull our ribs in, armpits press down, palms press down. My head is down towards the floor. I'm gonna maintain this core position, and I'm going to lift an arm up, keeping the palm down and the armpit facing the floor. Then I'll press the hand into the ground, lift the other side, maintaining that hollow position, press into the floor. I'm going to alternate back and forth. Remembering that our primary focus is not height of hand coming off the ground, but maintaining our core position and our body position from the neck down as I try and lift the shoulder. So if we feel my midsection start to break as I lift, I don't want you lifting any higher. I want you to lift to the edge of where we can maintain that nice body position from the neck down. So take your time with those. Build slowly as we start to play with that movement, and over time, that range will increase, but primary focus is our body position. As a quick recap, we have a plank to down dog, 3 to 5, forearm plank for 20 seconds, plank lean for 2, to bear squat, 3 to 5 reps, prone shoulder raise, 6 to 10, alternating back and forth with little pauses per side, just to make sure that we feel the position and then we feel the engagement at the bottom. 2 rounds of that, we'll take that down, have a good time with that, and we're gonna move into the next phase, which we're gonna get the dumbbell out to work on some skills. So pause the video, take that down, then come back and join me. We're gonna work on that lovely sumo deadlift. All right, you guys, from here now, what we're gonna work on is our sumo deadlift and sumo deadlift high pulls. We're gonna join them together as a little mini complex for you guys to experiment with. So before I move into this, the thing we wanna focus on is our legs. So our leg drive is what focuses us up in terms of getting that dumbbell moving. So with our sumo, we're gonna focus on that drive through the legs and hips to open up nice and tall. And as we build into the sumo deadlift high pull, doing that same leg drive with a little bit more oomph. And then we're gonna let the arm bring that dumbbell up to the sternum height. So we're not trying to pull super high. We're trying just to pull to the sternum height, keeping that shoulder open. So a nice kind of rule of thumb, literally, is thinking thumb to armpit. It's not gonna go right in there, nor do we want it to, but that tracing of the thumb towards the armpit is gonna give you that nice open shoulder and get you good positioning, all right? So as we're doing this, think about that kind of guiding that thumb towards the armpit, and that'll give you that nice scarecrow position and open upper back. Now, our dumbbell sequence starts with our sumo deadlift. So standing over top of the dumbbell, so it kind of cuts our foot in half where the laces are. I'm gonna take the hips back, and then I'm gonna lower the hips and shoulders down. So it's a little deeper, the knees are still tracing the toes, so we're pushing them out a little bit, but our feet stay flat. Then I'm gonna push through the legs and stand tall. Then I'm gonna come back down, finding that same position, foot flat, way through that midfoot, and then pushing through those legs. From there, we're gonna get a little bit more explosive and pull into that high pull. So as I start to drive, I'm gonna start to build momentum past the knee. I push, and I get that nice drive with the legs, and that dumbbell starts to move automatically with that momentum. I'm just gonna guide it and continue the momentum with the arm. So again, taking it down, I push with that leg, and then guide with the arm. From the front, it looks like so. I push, and come back down. So I'm not, big capital N-O-T, standing, pulling with the arm. I'm pushing with the leg and
continuing the momentum with the arm. So we have to really focus on that good, strong engagement through the legs and pushing through the floor. Once I've done both sides, I'm going to move down onto the floor and prime up my glutes just a little bit more with my hamstrings. So I'm going to lay on my back. My feet are going to be just inside my fingers with a little bit of space. You can do this with a weight or not. We're going to take the arms up towards the ceiling. I'm going to push my shoulders to the ceiling so I can feel my abs and my core turn on. It's going to stack that torso really well. From here, I'm going to pull the ribs in a little bit more just to kind of stabilize and complete that sequence. Then I'm going to push my hips up into my bridge, and I'm going to work on alternating feet back and forth. So I lift the leg, take it down, push that foot into the floor as I lift that other leg off. So it's not just focusing on lifting the leg, but also pushing down with the opposite side. I push with the leg, I lift. I push with the leg, I lift. So we're always pushing down with that balancing foot. It's not just sort of there, we're actively pushing into the floor. And that's going to really bring some engagement through the midsection, through the glutes, through the hips, through the sternum, through that whole midsection. It's going to be stable and tight. And you're going to notice a big difference as you push down with that foot. You might feel a little bit more in the hamstring, but what we're looking for is to build that stability in that bridge. Once we're done, about 20 seconds of just steady state marching. All right, nice and smooth. We're going to grab the dumbbell. We're going to clean it up to our shoulder. And we're going to work on some pause dip work. So I'm going to do one from the front. My feet are going to be under the hips, and I can have my toes slightly turned out. Ribs are in, glutes are tight, so I'm nice and strong through this position. I'm going to work on a pause dip. So I dip straight down with those hips, shoulder over the hip, knees go slightly out, my feet are flat, and then I stand. From the side, that looks like so. I dip, feet are flat, knees go out, shoulder over the hip, stand tall. Once I've done those pause dips, I'm going to move right into a push press. Same dip, no pause. Dip, press. And I come back down. And then my third one, I'm going to hold overhead. Actively pushing through the dumbbell, keeping the ribs in, squeezing the glutes and setting through those ribs, and holding this position nice and strong. So I'm always pushing through the arm. I'm always pulling those ribs in. I'm holding that good engagement here for 10 to 20 seconds. Bring it down, and then I'll switch sides and repeat. So the key point of that overhead hold is really just to really heat up that overhead position as best we can, making sure we're building that awareness, building that stability, and that strength overhead for a nice dynamic overhead movement like the push press. So as a recap, we have a dumbbell sumo deadlift for 3, dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull for 3, into a single leg bridge march for 20 seconds, focusing on that pressure down, dumbbell pause dip for 3 at 3 seconds, dumbbell push press for 3, and a dumbbell overhead hold of 10 to 20 seconds. 2 rounds of that, take that down, get that body fired up and ready. And then after that, you can go through a practice round just to feel what it's going to feel like back to back, adding in any extra cardio piece you'd like to get your heart rate up, and then we're going to start the work set. So let's get ourselves prepped and ready. Pause the video, take down that work set. Let's talk about those movements in the workout. All right, so the work set today, what we have for you guys, we have 22, 16, 8. Sumo deadlift high pull, dumbbell push press. The big thing that's kind of strange about this workout is the sumo deadlift high pull is 2 times the number. So you are going to do 22 on one side and then 22 on the other side. Then you'll move into 22 total count push press. So if you're using a single dumbbell, that just means you are going to split the work between the 2 sides, all right? If you're using 2 dumbbells, you'll just hit 22 total count. So we're doubling the number of the sumo deadlift high pull and doing the number as is total rep count for that push press. It's going to be a fun little work set. It's going to be gassing. What we're looking for again with that sumo deadlift high pull is a weight that allows us to have a nice smooth flow from the ground up and back to the ground. So if I was to do this,
what we're looking for is a nice solid position, good active position like we were talking about in our warm-up. I drive, and then as I come through the hip, I pull back. I drive, as I come through the hip, I pull back. And you'll notice that I'm not pulling the hips back until my arm and the dumbbell reaches the hip. So we're not doing this, okay? We're waiting until that dumbbell reaches the hip and the arm is straight. That'll allow us to maintain balance. It'll allow us to maintain a good tight core and keep our breath about us. Now if you need to, if you're starting to get fatigued, high pull, little pause at the hip, then take it down. High pull, little pause at the hip, take it down. And that again will give us an opportunity to work on maintaining tension, good back position, and giving ourselves a chance to breathe a little bit. With the push press, you're more than welcome to do rebound push press with this workout. Just keep in mind if we are kind of playing with this rebound push press, that our feet are staying flat to the dip, and we're controlling the dumbbell, and we're hitting that good depth every single time. So if we're finding that we're starting to shift into our toes in our dip, maybe pause at the shoulder for a second, or pause overhead, take a breath, right? So there's different ways we can maintain tension, and there's different ways we can maintain control over the dumbbell as we work that rebound push press. But again, make sure we're listening to our body, and we're listening to our movement, so we keep control of the dumbbell, and we're not chasing it all over the place. This workout's not gonna take very long, but it is gonna be a gasser, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So have some fun with this one, you guys. If you wanna use 2 separate dumbbells, please be my guest. It's not meant to be super heavy. If anything though, the Sumo Deadlift will be a little lighter than the push press if you're gonna change the loading. So I want you to think smooth and flowy with the Sumo, maybe a little bit more of a breakdown of movement with the push press if you'd like. If you're like, I only have 1 dumbbell, awesome, rock it, have fun with it, get that cardio going, and rock this work set as fast and as well as you can. As per usual, you guys, always we're working for quality, but have tons of fun taking this down. Enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow for another fun little work set. Bye, you guys.